Imagine walking into your field, the one that feeds your family, only to find your crops rotting in the ground. This wasn't just a bad harvest, it was the beginning of one of the deadliest famines in history. By the time it was over, 1 million people would be dead and millions more would flee their homeland. This is the story of the Irish potato famine, a tragedy that reshaped a nation and the world. In the early 1800s, Ireland was a land of contradictions. On the surface, it was lush and fertile, but beneath that beauty lay a system of oppression and inequality. The majority of the population were Catholic tenant farmers, working small plots of land owned by wealthy Protestant landlords. These farmers relied on one crop to survive: the potato. The potato was a miracle crop, easy to grow, nutritious, and incredibly productive. A single acre could feed a family of 6 for a year, but this reliance on one crop made Ireland vulnerable. And in 1845, disaster struck. It started with a smell, an earthy, rotting stench in the fields. Farmers dug up their potatoes only to find them slimy and oozing with brown mucus. A mysterious blight was destroying the crop. By 1845, nearly half of Ireland's potato harvest was lost. But this was just the beginning. The blight wasn't unique to Ireland. It had already devastated crops in the United States and Europe. But while other countries faced hardship, Ireland faced catastrophe. Why? Because of two factors: a broken land system and the decisions of those in power. In London, Prime Minister Sir Robert Peel knew Ireland was on the brink of disaster. He took action, secretly importing maize from America to feed the starving. But his efforts were met with resistance. Many in Parliament saw the famine as an opportunity to reform Ireland's economy, even if it meant letting people starve. By 1846, the situation was dire. The blight returned, wiping out nearly the entire potato crop. Families ate grass to survive. Children's mouths turned green from hunger. And yet, ships laden with Irish grain and livestock continued to sail to England, feeding the British while the Irish starved. Desperation drove millions to flee. They packed into overcrowded coffin ships, where disease ran rampant. Many never made it to their destination. Those who did faced discrimination and hardship in places like Boston, New York, and Canada. But they also brought their culture, their resilience, and their dreams, forever changing the countries they settled in. By 1852, the famine was over, but its scars remained. Ireland's population had dropped by a third, a loss from which it would never fully recover. The famine exposed the deep inequalities of British rule and fueled a growing movement for Irish independence. Today, the Great Famine is remembered as a turning point in Irish history. It's a story of suffering, but also of survival and resilience. It reminds us of the power of food, the importance of justice, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The Irish potato famine wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a human tragedy shaped by politics, greed, and inequality. But from the ashes of that tragedy rose a people determined to rebuild and thrive. So the next time you enjoy a plate of mashed potatoes, take a moment to remember the history behind this humble crop and the lessons it teaches us about resilience and hope.